Morning, folks. So it's been a really long time since I've been able to do another video. Um, I have been incredibly busy just with the farm and the house and work and finishing up projects. But at the same time, I haven't forgotten about my business here. So what we have here is we got us ourselves a third sorter. That's the one I told you I was working on making the deal with. And so I've had this for a couple weeks now, and I purposely chose to not open it because I really wanted to open it up on film. Sorry here. We're gonna do the live not live, but we're gonna do an unboxing here. And I really wanted to just kind of show you, just the condition it's in. I don't know. It is a used machine. All my machines are used with the exception of one new one. So, and I may continue to buy used ones. I just haven't decided fully if I'm going to do that. It all depends on the conditions of the ones I get. So I try to buy them from trusted sources first and foremost, because the last thing I want to do is own a machine that's just severely beat to shit, right? Like I've got to rebuild the whole thing and reload all the operating system on it and everything. So we're going to see what we got here. And I can already tell you this is an older generation. I've not seen one like this. So we get all this packing material out of the way. Ah, shit. I've never seen one like this, so this will be interesting. This is going to be a learning curve for me. I see some parts in here. We'll see. I know that my friend that I bought this from, he said he's had nothing but problems with this in the past. This might be the light bar. Looks like it's disconnected or broken, so we'll see. We got us a keyboard that comes with it. I will probably not be using this. So lots of parts. I can already see some of the sorting trays are kind of spun around a little bit, which is fine. Those are just a loose screw. It's cool to see that the magic stoppers are in the end cards. So I have a bunch of those anyway. I wasn't too worried about that. My biggest thing is making sure that all the parts are here and that nothing's smashed or broken. None of the pins are bad. All right. Yeah, this might be a first generation module here because this is an HDMI camera, not a Cat or Ethernet camera. So I don't know if I can swap that out and have it make it work, but we're going to try. Which means that I would have to replace the whole cable throughout this whole assembly. And we don't give two shits about this keyboard. And it's manually connected, so that's going to be a problem here for a minute. Alright, let's get a little offset here. We got to get everything off the table. Make some room. We're going to open up those box of parts. I don't know if the HDMI versions work better than the Ethernet cameras. So we're going to take a look. Let me move my mic here. Let me clip it to my hoodie. Let me get my coat off here in a minute. Sorry, it's a little chilly here this morning here in Aztec, New Mexico. Alright, we're about to lift this thing straight up and out. And I can already tell the front hood is coming off. May have come off during shipping. I can already see this wires broke off or disconnected here, which probably went to the light bar. So we got ourselves a basket case here, which is fine. This is what I bought it for. I didn't buy it. I traded cards for it. Sorry. Let's go. It's a little weird to grip. Okay. I see some loose washers in here. Otherwise, everything's out. So first thing we're going to do is start checking a look at connections. Because this thing does not work properly if it is not connected right. So let me get rid of this box. Oops. We're going to be right back. We're going to go get a soda. Scratch that. We're getting an iced tea. All right. So I'm going to take some side panels off because I want you to see this. Got us a new screwdriver just so I have one dedicated to this machine. I can already see with the front cover off, I can already see some visible damage right here. So hopefully that's not damaged, it's just pulled out. But I can already see it's a little tweaked. So first thing I want to do is get this keyboard out of the way. I don't believe in having a wired keyboard. So let's get that guy right out of the way immediately. And then we're going to do we're going to do the toggle switch upgrade on this. Reroute the power to the back. Don't know why. They can't figure this out from the factory yet. It's not that complicated. Alright, so USB is out. And it's ran right through power wires, so you got to be careful there not to disconnect anything. Because one of the first things I want to do is turn this on, even before I start doing upgrades. Keyboard, HP. We're out of here. And it's going to the landfill. Recycle yard, wherever. Bottom of the river. Whatever your favorite disposal choice is. Hopefully you're not throwing it at the river. Or really at the landfill. So, let's back her up a bit. Man, we got a lot of work ahead of us today. I see loose wires right here. Don't know what that means. Looks like a stopper switch is kind of slightly tweaked, smashed over here and kind of out of place. So I'll be checking all that. It's got a different style stopper motor on it. Alright, looks like one of the towers is busted. We'll fix that. We got plenty of those. One of the first things I got to do too is we got to get the vacuum involved here because there's a lot of styrofoam debris in here. And the last thing you want to do is suck that up into that little vacuum pump. So let's get the cards out. There's a lot of big chunks here. We can probably just grab those. Oh, let's get these panels off. Actually, I don't even know if taking the panels off will be beneficial, but this wire, that's got to go I mean, what that goes to. There's a lot of slack on this one. I think what happens sometimes is folks get a little overconfident and thinking they can fix things, and you end up with a big mess. So we're going to see if this is something that we can fix ourselves. See, the other thing I don't like, and you kind of can't see, is right here where that wire comes in. It's gonna be in the way here in a minute, and I'll show you what I mean. So here's another broken part. That's the back. So I guess we'll start here. The track is way off as well. The track is way off. I'm gonna have to compare this with what I already have for machines, but what we might have to do is just make some more adjustments. We definitely got to vacuum it out. I mean, it is really just littered here. Okay, and the other thing I like to do too is just kind of check the actual functionality of it here, and it should move smoothly, and it's not. There's a lot of resistance here. So it might be you just got to work it a little bit so it kind of remembers what its job is supposed to be. There you go. See that? That's the way it's supposed to go, just smooth. So it's still out of alignment. And I have a square here somewhere in one of my videos. Maybe I've already used it somewhere and left it in my last little project. So we're going to square up this chassis because it has moved. It has been previously owned. We don't know what's going on with it. So we just want to start with the basics. We're going to square everything up, clean it up. I'm going to start by replacing switches. And I'm testing them right now just for their clicking ability here. And I mean, they feel like they're fine a little bit. But I've got new ones, so we're gonna put new ones in. The light bar, where did I do that? There it is. The light bar did come undone. So I don't know if that's damaged. It looks like just an LED strip. I just installed these behind my TV yesterday out there on the spa deck. So that's super simple. If I have to, I can solder this. So it looks like it started to peel a little bit, so we're probably fine. Just get that right there. And yeah, we'll open up the end of it. So it looks like it does just, there's a pair of copper teeth inside there, and the conductor just lays down inside, and then this just crimps down over the top of it and holds it in place. So this looks like it just snaps in, but the thing is I don't know what side. Okay, there it is. It's identified. There's positive, there's negative. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this guy reattached. There's positive. There's negative. Alright, we might have to strip this back a little bit. We'll handle the light bar in a minute. This has got a lot of things going on here. This is weird. This is like a syringe instead of a vacuum pump. That's a syringe. That's hilarious. That could be part of the reason why this doesn't work right. Or effectively. We might have to just get a whole new vacuum pump and swap that out, as well as this card up here. This is probably a good reason why my friend had a very difficult time keeping this thing operational. I don't know how long it's not been working, but there are immediate things I need to do before I can even really kind of continue this video. And one is I need to replace these broken parts inside. And I think we'll try to use the syringe. I don't understand. I mean, it's appears to be doing what it's designed to do. It moves freely. So I think I'm gonna just go get a couple extra tools. We're gonna make our modifications to it. We're gonna get the power relocated to the rear. Again, there's no holes in the back of this bar to be able to remove the camera mount. So we're gonna move this guy to the middle pocket here, probably somewhere in this range. And I'll drill a hole back here to where I can get these 2 set screws. And we're gonna give it a try, even if it is an HDMI camera, just because I want to see kind of how far out of date it is. See if I can get it connected to the Wi-Fi. And what I want to do is, if I can get it connected to the Wi-Fi, I'll leave it on. That way I can reach out to David and see if he can transfer this one to my account and see if we can start getting this guy up and running. So there's quite a bit of work ahead of us on this. I got to manage these cables in here as well. Just double check everything. Just make sure stuff's not bent, stuff's not broke, blown out. I mean, this card here might have to get replaced. It looks a little stretched. So all these cables need to get managed. The good news is the LCD screen and the connectivity for that appears to be good. The Raspberry Pi. Yeah, I've got a spare Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it just looks smashed right there. Oh, there's a USB dongle in there. I wonder if this was the old. Wonder if this has the software on it. So I'll put that back, because this is probably one of the first generations. So, and I've not seen one before, so I don't want to undo too much that they got to turn around and redo. Biggest thing is too is, as I'm going through all of this, I will be disconnecting and reseating every single electronic connection on this, just because of prior ownership, prior repair attempts, and during shipment. Who knows what can happen with this? So I think we're going to stop the video for now, because this was a little more involved than I originally thought it was going to be, which is fine. We're going to make some modifications. Oh man. Sorry. We're going to make some modifications here and see if we can get this guy turned back on, maybe in an hour and a half or so. But yeah, some of this has definitely got to get moved out of the way. And I don't necessarily need to make the hole in the back just yet, until I have to like swap out this, because even though this is on here, I can actually just change out, put an Ethernet adapter, put a Cat6 cord in here, a shielded Cat6 cord, mind you, shielded stranded, because if you use solid wire, the more articulations it makes and movements, it can start building up a memory in that solid wire to the point where it can snap a conductor inside the wire. So I like stranded because there's several conductors in one conductor, or several strands in one conductor, sorry, and it allows for more flexibility. So long term, it's a better cable for this. So I'll see if I can find a cable that can come in here and route it through all the way over and whatnot. But we're going to start getting some of this stuff connected. And the reason why I got to turn the camera off is I don't have all the tools handy right now. So what I'll do is probably find all that, bring it back, turn the camera on, and we're going to show the modifications again, even though I think I've got a couple videos on it, but we're going to do another one. That way anybody who has a machine like this can pick up a few tricks as well. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're mostly cleaned out. I mean, this stuff here I'll probably just hit with like a cloth or something when we're all said and done. But we got most of it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Where's my cutters? Oh well. We're going to go ahead and start with this. Getting this connector a little tightened up. Yeah, because that it's really excessive. Plus it's all bunched up. So let me go get my cutters so we can fix this. That is if I can find the cutters. Hold on here. All right, I think we're ready now. All right, so I usually start by just shortening those up. And again, you don't want any of that copper exposed. So you have a potential of the two conductors to arc. So I can tell somebody's done a lot of work to this. This was not factory. This is not a factory build. They've had issues with this, is what my buddy was telling me. So we're going to find out what kind of issues and see if we can repair these and restore this machine today. It's going to take a couple days in the sense of getting all the subscription transferred over and all that. We're going to relocate some of this power and these wires. We're going to address how some of the stuff is cable managed. So we're just going to fix a whole bunch of issues before we even try here. And I kind of wish you could see what I was doing. Wish we had a camera person here to kind of help, just to kind of illustrate this. Yeah, see, some of this wire is just doesn't make sense. It's just ran through each other here. I was able to just pull that right off. Reroute some of this. Make for a way cleaner cable breakout here. Plus, by rerouting it behind this stepper motor, we're going to get some of this cabling right out of the way of the action of the robot arm here. And that's the whole goal, is to make this thing efficient and smooth. And see, some of this hose is too long, so we don't really need it that long. So we're going to trim back some of this because the end's kind of crimped anyway. So I'll go ahead and crimp that back. And see, I'll create a nice loop. And I did save some of the zip tie that was already there. I cut it on the correct size so I can repurpose this. So there we go, we're clamped on nice and tight. Put that back on. And I just put this on loosely until I get it into position.
because this syringe has a tapered head to it, you kind of want to get that zip tie as close to the bottom of that base as possible so that hose doesn't slip off. And I'm not entirely sure I trust that connection, but again, we're just trying to use this so we can get this thing booted up. I will replace it with a vacuum pump at a later time here, but for today we are just going to get her booted up. Okay, that is a connection going down. Alright, so that is the HDMI connectivity, and I don't have a whole lot of slack for that guy, but it's behind the stepper motor, kind of in as tight as it can go, not a whole lot of room to negotiate. Alright, so the rest of the cabling, with those two fat cables out of the way, the rest of it now fits behind the stepper motor. So the rest of the cabling can kind of work its way out to the front. We're going to wire tie this in. I did not cut that one correctly. We will wire manage this here in just a little bit. We're not going to let this slow us down. So while we're still working in this corner, go ahead and unplug the stepper motor cable. Reseat it. Okay. Now we're good on that guy. And this should be a little 4-conductor cable. So I just will pull it out just a little bit. And on the back side of what you can't see here is this hose. That's what I'm going to kind of zip tie to get the cables up out of the corner here so that the movement of the arm and the camera does not get bound up by this cabling. Alright, so we're done with that for the minute. We're going to move to this corner. We're going to replace this stepper switch. I'm sorry, the stop switch. And that is an Allen head. Let's see if we get the correct size. And we do. Excellent. So this is a brand new screwdriver I bought. I can't find my other one. These are about $27. $27.01. Milwaukee makes them. Klein makes them. They're some of my favorite screwdrivers. They're absolutely worth buying for this. And because I have 3 robots, I really need this screwdriver. I'll go out and buy another one if I can't find mine. That's how often I need these. And that's not because the machine keeps breaking down. It's just because I like to update things and whatnot. So I always have to have access to it. So anyway, what I want to show you here when I bring this up to you. This is why you want to replace these sometimes. So you're kind of looking for that little click sound. And sometimes these get damaged and they're too loose, or they'll get struck. And as you can see, it's kind of moved a little bit. It's not even anymore. So in order to move it, I'd have to take and bend it. And then you're kind of weakening it at that point. So it's somewhat straight now. So chances are I could use it. But these things are so cheap, I'm just going to replace it. The other thing is too, that's not really straight. So it's kind of crooked. So probably got damaged at some point. So we're just going to straight up replace it with a new one. And as you can tell, what I was talking about, how the connections are on there much straighter because they have not been struck by the robot arm and they're not damaged. So let's go ahead and remount it. Just reuse the same holes, same screws, should be good to go. Today's video is going to be a long video, so Apologies to you, the folks out there that like quick videos. This is not the video that's going to be efficient because there's a lot to fix on this. There's a lot to pay attention to as well. So while I'm still in this corner, there's a zip tie holding the stepper motor and the light bar cable harness, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it the light cable harness, holding it all together. And these are really tight. And if any of you know anything about copper transmission power, we know that you're not supposed to zip tie that stuff because it can affect the transmission speed. Not necessary for power, but for data for sure. So stepper motor, go ahead and unplug it. Inspect your pins, make sure they're straight and then none of them are laying down, bent, or crooked. So we're good there. Now we get the issue of the light bar, which we attempted to repair earlier, and then I gave up and decided we're going to do this a different way. So the light bar, you're going to want the light facing inward. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and just get it mounted. And it just snaps right in. Super easy. But you got to be careful because of where you snap it in. You got to make sure that it doesn't hit anything, because the robot arm still needs to travel. So what you want to do is you want to put it in there. Make sure that you can get connection to your harness here. And it's probably easier to go ahead and make sure your connection is on before you mount it. Don't mount it first. So let's go ahead and repair this real quick, and then we'll mount it. So inside here it says that it's 12 volts DC, positive and negative. And these pins, it's hard to say if they look like they're laying down. So it's going to be a little difficult to show you. But I think these are damaged, and this is why they came out. Those copper pins right there that look like a V. Hold on here, let me get that back down. Yeah, see how they're laying down? One's reflecting more light than the other. That's because one's laying down more than the other. They should be straight up and down. So you can try to fix them. You can replace it with just a new light bar. But because there's no voltage applied to this at the moment, all I'm going to do is just kind of reach in there with a small little straight tip. And again, this is why you want the screwdriver, because nothing's more fun than sitting here and untwisting to get to your bits all day long. So here we go. So I just want a nice little straight screwdriver tip, because we're gonna attempt. Let's go ahead and lay that down. We're gonna attempt to pull these back up so that they're nice and straight. And if I can't do that, then I'll just put this on the list of parts to reorder, and it will just delay the progress. Not a big deal. All right. Okay. These are very thin little points of connectivity here for these conductors to kind of lay down in. So I want to show you the difference and why you want to pay attention to this. If you've done any sort of electronics, access control, video surveillance, audio video, networking, Cat5, Cat6, any sort of those little connections before, you'll know exactly the issues you have with these pins being laid down. And I won't have to explain that. But here you go. Now when you look at those pins, see how you can't see them as easily as you did before? That's because they're standing up perfectly straight. And the reason why you want that is as you lay the conductor into this little channel right here, you see the two grooves? This cover is then going to be designed with two little pressure points here, those little splits. It's going to be designed to snap in and close those connections. The other thing too is if I had a little dab of glue, I would probably just put it right in behind here and lay that in there. Give that a minute or two to set up. So I don't think I have any glue, but I also don't think it's going to be any issue for me today for just what I'm trying to do. So we're going to skip that step for now. I'll make a mental note of it to come back to it. So your red stripe should be your 12 volt positive. And we could turn the machine on and test it with a voltmeter or multimeter, whatever you want to call it, just to make sure. But I'm absolutely positive that that's the 12 volt positive. So let's go ahead and lay this down. Oops. Okay. That guy's now in and it's loose. All right, so that tells me that this is probably broken for good, because I don't think that's designed to pinch through the casing, but it might be. So maybe that's part of the issue that they had. So we're going to try it, because I know when you're terminating cables, normally you don't strip it down. So we're going to try this and see if that bites. Let me get a pair of pliers. And the problem, this has been repaired so many times that the clips are probably broken. It won't stay. And see, it doesn't look like it's biting very well. So yeah, this is damaged quite severely. So the light bar is not going to work, unfortunately. I'll just order a new one. Not that big a deal. Or I could probably lay that conductor in there and solder that in too. But the clips on the side that hold that on are broken anyway. So at this point, with so many issues going on with this, that's junk. We'll just order a new one. It's still 12 volts coming in. So because I already nicked those, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that where I nicked it. And then I'm going to stagger the other one. That way they can't touch. And for now, I'm just going to kind of spiral wrap it up and around so that I know I have to do something with this. But literally when this video is all done, I will be ordering this 12 volt bar. The other thing I like to do is just kind of separate them so that the conductors don't have a chance to touch each other. Alright, so we're good. We're good. And then make sure that the positive isn't going to touch anything metallic here. So we're out of the way. We'll abandon that project for now. Okay, the other thing too is I notice is the belt is really loose here. I mean, that's really loose. Like, it could be tightened up considerably. We'll get to that in a minute. Next thing I want to do is jump to the other corner here. There are 1, 2, 3 stop switches there. 1, 2, 3. So we got 2 left. No big deal. Let's go ahead and get them opened. I don't really use the wiring harness. You can, but I trust that these wires are going to be fine. And if not, I hang on to them anyway, so we'll run them in after the fact. But in my 2 years of owning these, I have not noticed that the wiring harnesses go bad. I've always noticed it's the switches because they get smashed by the movement of the robot. So, screwdriver in the back pocket, just like I do at work. All right. So let's start on this corner. Alright, let's get in there. Unplug the switch cable harness here. And the other thing too, to just give yourself a little room, go ahead and scoot your robot right out of the way here. Man, that's really in there. Damn, that's almost like it was over tightened. Alright, we're almost out of there. And again, I can't prove that these worked or did not work. We're just updating and replacing just so that we limit the amount of issues we have with this after we kind of get it initially booted up and set up. These parts are cheap enough that you might as well just replace them, because I don't know how damaged they were, if they were even damaged at all. So there we go. The switch works fine. Make sure everything is seated. Going to do the connectivity of that guy. It's got a nice clicking sound to it. We're going to unplug this one. And different screws up there. Okay. This is why you like this screwdriver. There it is. Alright, let's see. Phillips. The neighbor's dog is barking. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can hear that or not. This one here is probably the one that gets the most damage, because if you have your card stacks too high, the height detector, what happens is it'll detect the height of the card stack, and then as it brings the robot up, it doesn't quite remember where it's supposed to stop, and it'll just shear this thing right off. So I like to replace those, just for the simple fact is I don't know how this worked previously. Not to mention some of these, I don't know what the difference is between the generation of these or not, but all the ones that I have are all the red kind. So I'm just kind of analyzing and seeing if there's a difference, and I don't think there is. Yeah, there's no difference in those, even though I do like the color of the black ones. All right, let's go ahead and mount this back up. Make sure you install your switch in the correct orientation so it's downward. Oops. There. I think we got one more stop switch to do on the arm down below here, and we should be done with the switches. Okay. Got a nice click to it. There's a little stepper motor on the back side of the robot arm here. So we're going to go ahead and unplug it. No bent connections. It's got a nice reseat, a little clicking sound. You got another stepper motor right here. No bent connections. That went in nicely. Then we got a stop switch down here at the bottom of the arm. This one's a little trickier to get to. Probably a Phillips. Yep. So we're going to pop this guy off real quick. Hang on to your screws, because I don't think the repair kits come with any more screws. Okay. And that bottom screw is a little tricky to get to. And one of the first things I noticed is this chassis does not look like it's squared out either. So we're going to start with that too, because that's the basis of everything. If you're not square, it's not going to sort square. It's not going to operate properly. All right. This one here, I'm glad we did this. I want to show you the difference here. And this is what I've been talking about. You can tell that this one was damaged. So that's the damaged one. See how far that hangs down? This is the good one. Pretty big difference. I mean, would it still work? Probably. But I can tell you right now that that's been damaged at some point. So we're not going to play with some damaged stuff right now. We want to get this stuff working. And we want to test it. Alright, let's see here. This one's a little tricky being on the very bottom here. There we go. Always just stab the screw through the electronic and then try and line up the hole that way. It's way easier, at least for me anyway. Okay. One more to go. Okay, we're nice and firm. We've already reseated that. We've checked this stepper motor. This vacuum line appears to be connected. HDMI appears to be connected. Plenty of plenty of slack here. Now, one thing that I did notice is that I think the original owner told me that they were having a camera issue. So it doesn't surprise me being HDMI. So again, when we go to boot this up and it does not recognize a card, can't capture a correct image or whatever, we will order the light bar and we will order an Ethernet adapter, because I already have the Ethernet camera. So we just need the adapter, and then I'll order that shielded, stranded Cat 6 cable. Don't really need Cat 6, but maybe even Cat 5. We're not going to be pushing any speeds through this, so it might be cheaper. So I'll jump online, see what I can find. The other thing I'm doing too is the wiring harness for this appears to be just kind of slightly backwards. The connectivity for this was causing this cable to sag over the edge a little bit, which is kind of almost in the pathway of the robot. So I'm moving it. If I can get the screw out anyway. There we go. All right, so we're going to reposition this. And I think with this, all I need to do is just kind of turn it. But I got to cut the zip tie, which means I don't have a zip tie to replace it. So when I do, I'll be able to zip tie this back up and out of the way. Not a big deal. I don't know what happened to all my little small electronic zip ties that I had around here. But if you turn that around that way, it's going to be a lot better because it's going to pull your cable. So instead of the cable being right here along this edge and falling into the working area of the robot arm as it articulates through this working space here, what we're doing is we're forcing it to the outer edge and out of the way, and we shouldn't have any issues after this. So for now, I'm going to leave these off, and these are just your little zip tie bases. I won't forget where they go or the screws where they fasten down. So for now, I am going to just throw it right into this cable path trough here of the chassis. It's out of the way. I'm going to throw my shit on the ground. The other thing I want to do is start squaring it up. I think we're kind of at that point. One of the other things I noticed is we have broken towers, card sorting pocket towers here, whatever you want to call them. I'll call them towers. So since we got a pair of broken ones, we've got to replace those. Otherwise, cards will just fall out everywhere. So there you go. Busted. So we grab a new pair. Go ahead and get it in there. The card is longer than it is tall, so make sure you orientate it properly. Okay. And I'm inspecting the other pockets, looking for like cracked or broken ones, turned, because you want all these to be straight. And it's acting like it's not wanting to thread now. There we go. Huh. That one does not want to tighten down, which is, oh, no, there it goes. I just quit too early. And it might be a good idea to just kind of go through, kind of give these a good little quarter turn here, kind of tighten them up. Again, just because don't know how it was used. Don't know what any repairs might have been done to it previously. So we're just kind of doing an overall kind of preventive maintenance, kind of inspection, upgrade, repair, replacement, whatever you want to call it. We're just kind of doing all of this in this video. Just a nice good coverage of maintenance here. All right, let's see, get you in that pocket. All right, we're definitely struggling with the articulation of this robot. We're way out of whack here. I can feel it. Like I wouldn't even turn this on without that being fixed first, because it's just gonna fuck up some serious shit here if you don't have that squared up. All right, we got 2 more rows of screw tightening to go here, and we're gonna jump back on getting these belts adjusted and getting this frame squared up. Any debris that may have fallen in during your maintenance should be cleaned. Okay. 4 pockets to go. And I did notice that since the last time I ran my other 2 robots, there's a new update for firmware. So I don't know how far behind this one is. And I don't know if it's going to automatically catch up or if I'm going to have to force it. All right. So we're way out of whack here. I don't know if you can see that. It's definitely not level. Definitely not squared. So one of the first things that we got to do is get this out of the way. And if I can, man, it almost seems like that's just too tight too. We'll see. I have a square somewhere. What? Oh, there it is. One of the first things I want to do is frame's pretty square. So that's not too bad. The frame, I think, is squared. Yep. So that's good news. Frame square. Get out of the way. So the next thing is get this back into its home position. And see, it already is sliding better. And what you're looking for is you want to get that suction cup on this kind of dead center of where the X is. So dead center. Make sure everything's in there. The other thing too is check your rail here. Your up and down rail. Make sure everything in here is good and tight. Not bent. Not cockeyed. And it looks like a little bit of it is. Leaned inward. This is not straight. Oh, come on, come on. These feet like the stick. So yeah, we're not straight up and down here. So this is going to cause some problems too. Especially with the rail and the stepper motor. And I know you can't quite see this, so I apologize. Let me get some room here. There. So let me think about what I can do here. It looks like I wonder if there's anything I can do to straighten this out. Let me think about this for just a moment. Because what I want this thing to be like this. Straight up and down. And something severely bent on this. But I found an area where I can tighten up the belt a little bit here too. Looks like this just got clamped together. So this belt tensioner is going to be desired. We're still going to have an issue with this thing's movement. So the other thing too is, let me spin this because this is going to be kind of hard to see here. Oh, I can't spin it because the front will fall. So they took 2 ends of the belt, clamped and stuck it together, and clamped it with a metal clamp here and here, or clasp, so to speak. Can't quite show it to you, but that is going to cause severe issues because as this goes up and starts to slide forward, this has the potential to hit that wheel. And the wheel is grooved to help fit the belt. So as I move, well, I guess that's it. That's kind of how far forward it's going to go. But let's see. Right there, it almost hits the pulley. And with this, boy, I'm telling you, this must be one of the first generation machines There's a lot of issues here. No wonder they hated it. Sorry, I'm just checking the up and down motion here because it looks like the stepper motor's arm is way out here too far too. I mean, that's excessive. That's going to have it to where it's going to hit on the chassis like that, right? Interesting. As I'm doing that, you can see an LED light up on the board here just from the motion of that. That's crazy. I didn't think it had any power applied to it. It shouldn't. Interesting. Anyway, so we got quite a bit of issues going on here. Let me see what I can do about fixing this, because I don't like any of this. I would not even fire up this machine. So I can see the other side. It must be from the manufacturer that it's clamped. I did check the mobility of the distance here, with this being in its home position and with it being advanced as far as it could go, and that clamp did not hit the pulley. So I don't think this is a big worry at this point. We're going to try it, but I'm going to see if I can find another belt and make it to where the belt is actually adjusted up into here. There's like a little plate, and that's what they have it clamped to, and allows it to pull the arm forward. So I'm going to check one of my other robots and see if they made a change in the design, because to me that doesn't appear to be very very efficient, is I guess the word. So sorry, I'm just kind of thinking here. So we're going to skip the belt for now. I do see a way that I can tighten it, because it is a little loose. And anybody that's ever worked on a vehicle before, you know, if you got a loose belt, it's robbing you of power, so to speak. So we can tighten it up. There's a pulley back here, so let's go ahead and do that. That way that's out of the way. What did I do with my screwdriver? There you are. Okay. We will do that. We're going to tighten this, because I don't like how loose that is. Let's see. Ah, damn, this shit is tight. The other thing you want to do too is, if you're going to tighten something like this, you want to make sure that the washer doesn't get pulled into the elongated hole. Huh. Yeah, it's still pretty loose. I wonder if they attempted that before, couldn't make that adjustment stick. Alright, so what I'm going to attempt to do is stick something in there, in that elongated hole, and I'm going to force that to create a positive pressure to where it can't come back to its original position. There we go. Okay. Nice. So now this belt. Oh yeah, boy, I wish I could show you the difference. This belt has got actual tension on it now. Like, not bad tension, but like great tension. Which, now we're going to jump to the other side. We're going to do the same thing over there, and then we're going to do the same thing with this belt, because your tension really has to like be it's got to be tight. I mean, otherwise these pulleys, these belts are going to be so loose that they're going to just hop teeth on the grooves on the pulleys. And anybody's worked with cars, you know what I'm talking about, especially with like the little cog wheels and such. So what that's going to do is it's going to keep your chassis or your robot square here. It's not going to allow one side to pull because one side's tight and the other one's slack. It's not going to allow it to kind of pinch and bind and move down the chassis of this machine. It's not going to be cockeyed. So go ahead and adjust this. What we're going to do before I make the final adjustments on this belt is we're going to square up the robot arm with the chassis. Then we're going to make the adjustments with the belt. And that should make it to where it all moves nice and smooth. And that's why I was getting it to where it almost felt like it was crab walking down the chassis. So it still doesn't fix the arm because the arm is still doing this when it should be doing this. So we're going to fix that next. But for now, this has got good tension on it, but the bottom belt is still a little slack, but the top has got a little bit in it. It's not as tight as that one over there. And again, we don't need to make this super tight either. But one thing I do notice right off the bat is this screw is already starting to come out. So I don't know if I can get in there. We're going to have to pause the video because I'm going to have to get an Allen head in here or an Allen wrench and tighten this screw because that pulley is going to pop right off. So let's pause this. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So I don't know. Well, I do know. It's probably a metric because this was built in Italy. But we're going to see if a SAE standard size will fit this. All I got to do is just tighten it up a little bit. So we got to try and size it. Obviously that one's too big. So this could be a minute. Apologies. Okay, I got the right one. Alright, so here's what I've learned. That screw is probably too long. The threads are probably too long, but it is tight. So we're going to skip this step. What I might do is back that out later, shave that thread off a little bit more, and get that to actually seat properly with the correct depth of thread for that. So not an issue. Not going to prevent us from doing what we're going to be doing next. But it did look really loose. So we're going to leave it alone. So there is another adjustment screw right back here for this guy. I can just figure out the correct size. There we go. And what we're looking for is you want to put pressure on that pulley and that support. And we just want to back it out just a little so it tightens it up just a cinch here. Oops. All right. Obviously, I just loosened it, did not tighten it. I need to get something in there to help push because the thumb is not really quite the correct tool to use to push that in there. So maybe the head of these pliers. I wish I had needle nose. Okay. There we go. This will do it. Whoop. If I hold on to it anyway. Okay. I did see it move. And we got a new position. It's a lot tighter. That is a lot better. And what that does is it gives you a lot better grip on this robot arm to slide down and move to the front of this chassis. All right, so we're going to square it up. Best way to do that is right on that frame and that frame. It's not quite square. Okay. And these squares are cheap. You can just get this at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, whatever your preference is. All right. We are now square within the chassis. Oops. That was my fault. I didn't pick it up high enough. So we're going to adjust this slop. And this belt and this belt had almost the same slop in it. I don't know if you can see that very well. Just trust me, there's a lot of slop there. Don't even know how this thing worked. If it even did. So that's the back of the stepper motor. Here's the adjustment one back here. And it looks like somebody tried to make some adjustments to it. So let's go ahead and do our adjustment. With the correct screwdriver. So the adjustment for it's right here. And see, I mean, this rail's almost right in the way, but that's all right. Maybe we can go at an angle. And I wish I could show you how far out this is, but I can't. So we're going to just show you this tension here in a minute. What I want to do is I want to move it. So somehow I got to get something in there. So let's see if I can do this. Move this arm out of the way. Get something in there to put a lot of pressure on moving this. The other thing too is the washer is not quite big enough to cover the hole. Boy, that's going to be really tough because I can't quite get anything really in there other than maybe my finger here. And see, it's not really loosening it up enough anyway. So there's a nut on the face of this bolt right here. So every time I move it, all it does is spin. So I'm gonna go get a wrench, see if I can get onto that nut to loosen up this, to be able to move this whole bolt stud, and then we're gonna re-anchor everything down. We're really close. Let me just pause it. All right, we're back. Brought my voltmeter too, just in case I need it. So what I was really after was these needle nose. Because what I want to do is I want to grab that right there, right by the head, and then this. See, now I can loosen that pulley up and tighten it. At the same time, I can grab it and apply positive pressure and hold it. I should be able to find a new position over here. And create the tension that you're going to need to operate. And I did not do that. It's probably just as bad as it was. So, once again, loosen it up. So that technique is probably not going to work, because it still doesn't create enough. Okay, this feels different. So I'm doing it again with more pressure. All right. A lot better. Look at that tension. So still not ideal, but it is a lot better than it was. So I wonder if I tighten it, if it will turn. Nope, turns the whole stud. Okay, we want to keep it right there for now. So this is perfect tension for testing it out. So let's go ahead and tighten it down. Okay, we're done. Now, since we had to make some adjustments, let us go ahead and square this chassis off again. It's just a tad out. Okay. And we're spot on again. Okay. Back into the home position. Oh, that's all right. So let's show you one thing. First off, that is great movement. I don't feel slop. I don't feel hesitation. So let's go ahead and move forward. And then we're gonna square everything up again. Okay. And then we're gonna square everything up. And hopefully it retained staying squared. Yes. This might be hard to do here. Let me move that over one more time. Stayed square. Okay, we're back to the center. Okay. Now we're kind of back to one of our first problems that we discovered, which is this thing is angled like this. It's leaning forward and not straight up and down. So I'm just trying to think if there's something else I can do to do this. And I think I figured out what I can do. I'm not going to be able to do much about it at this particular moment. But I think what I can do is over here on the back side of this stepper motor. I know you can't see this, but if you imagine you could see the stepper motor right here. There's a bracket underneath of it and an arm coming down like this, and it's kind of like that. So if I put a spacer in there, it should be able to put a spacer right in between here and the fastener here. That should kick that whole arm out straight. So am I going to do anything about that right now? Probably not. But the other thing I was looking for was to see if up here, if it had another pair of holes where I could move this and just make some adjustments. But this belt is still pretty loose here, or this cable passage is still pretty loose. So we might have to do something about that. I don't know if we need to do anything about it immediately, but we might want to take a look at it at some point. All right, so I'll figure out something to do here, and I'll get a light bar back there. But for now, I believe everything from the front panel, from the front face to the rear is gone through, with the exception of swapping out this, shortening the stud bolt here on this stepper arm, drilling the hole out in the back of the arm so that you can access the two screws here to remove this, and then the light bar. Otherwise, I think we're all done. So we're close to being able to fire this off. So we're out of the way here. So now our next area of attention should be this right here, where we've got this micro USB connector right on that housing. So I'm going to attempt to straighten it without breaking the solder. Straighten it because it obviously was crooked. Okay, that is now straighter, and I'm going to see if I can collapse it because it was really loose from where it got broken, worn out here. So I'm going to pinch that back down where it should be if it were new. Yeah, because I don't think it's broke. I think it was just bent. And then just kind of squeeze the end just a tad, just to kind of open it up. There we go. And then let's go and test fit it. Where did our connector go? There it is. And again, we didn't apply a lot of pressure to this, so I just have to remember the orientation here. There it is. Okay. I think that's how it went. Need a flashlight or something here. I don't even know if I'm trying to put it in the correct way here. There it goes. Nope. Huh. There it goes. Okay. So we're gonna just tweak that just a little bit. Now we know the orientation. Okay. Boom. All right. So that is not nearly as tweaked as it was. Are we going to replace it? Probably. But for now, we're going to leave it alone. HDMI is tight. All the ribbon connections are in. They're nice and tight. We're still missing this interconnectivity between here and here. And this has a G10, a VCC, and a ground. So I don't know what is the VCC, maybe voltage positive. So we're gonna take a look here. Let me see if I can set some of this stuff down out of the way. I want to see if I can read some of the circuitry labeling here. Or I can just pop that off. It looks like the pins are bent anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and remove that. It should make it a little easier on us. Here in a minute, I'll pause the video. Charge the phone up a little bit more here. Then I want to show you if I can take this off. Oh, there's a nut on the back side. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks like our little USB connectivity isn't going to work either. You can already see it's loosening up. So they must have broken that pretty well to the point where that either needs to get resoldered on with a new one, or I need to replace that Raspberry Pi. Okay. Yeah, because it's still sagging. We're going to pull that out here for now. We know where it goes. So, what we're looking for here is orange on this side is ground, and then yellow is the VIN, so voltage in. Okay. Again, a lot of that conductor sticking out. So we're going to go ahead and shorten it up.